Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks to all of you for being here and for participating in this hearing. It's significant that at least until today, no Senate hearing has been held regarding the unprecedented rise of anti-Semitism on college campuses throughout America, especially since the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel. It's also significant. I'm very glad that we're holding this hearing, and it's significant that the major overwhelming focus of it is anti-Semitism. But it's odd that the title of the hearing doesn't even reflect that focus. And I think it's unfortunate that we're not having a hearing that is overtly, by name, focused on this specific topic. Because we've got a problem here. We've got these once respected academic institutions of, institutions of higher education that have suddenly found themselves transformed into these seething hotbeds of anti-Semitism. We see universities sitting sometimes idly by, or at least passively by, as Jewish students are threatened, are assaulted, are intimidated from attending class or just accessing facilities at the university, prevented from doing the very things that a college or university student is supposed to do while attending school. Even cases of students being stalked or assaulted simply for wearing symbols associated with their faith have been astoundingly common. And then just yesterday, I read a report of a student just outside the University of Michigan who was approached by a group of men and asked whether the student was Jewish. When the student responded in the affirmative, they beat him up, and he ended up having to go to the hospital. This is really significant, and it's becoming stunningly common. So, look, I understand the First Amendment protects the freedom of speech. It also protects the right of the people peaceably to assemble. It does not protect acts of violence. It does not protect people in their efforts to stop a Jewish student from attending class or approaching his or her dormitory or anything else on a university campus or elsewhere. That's not what the First Amendment is about. Now, one of the things that's so troubling is that there are tools that are ready and available, both within universities and from the standpoint of the federal government, to step in and stop this nonsense. And yet, we've seen little intervention to protect students. The executive branch of the federal government has the authority to enforce Title VI of the Civil Rights Act to protect Jewish students and ensure that universities do the same, to make sure that they have consequences when they don't do it. And yet little action has been taken by the executive branch to make sure that this happens. One of the things that's so galling about this is that students and parents and those who are supporting these students are sending perfectly good money to these universities, specifically so that students can get an education, so that they can attend class, live in the dormitories, go to the bookstore, the library, or anywhere else they need to go. And yet these same universities can't even be bothered to use the vast resources at their disposal on their university, whether it's through their university police or otherwise, to make sure that students aren't inhibited in their ability to walk from one side of the campus to the other, to do something as simple as go to class or go back to their dorm or go to their library. Keep in mind, simply as a matter of contract law, before we even get to all of our civil rights protections that we have in law, protections that are not being enforced by this administration, before we even get to that, these people have a basic contractual right and a legitimate expectation that they will be able to access what they paid to be able to access. They didn't pay the university these ridiculously large sums of money simply so that they can wear a shirt with the logo of that university on their shirt. No, they paid for access to an education that they're being denied. In many, countless cases, simply because they are Jewish. Look, this is unacceptable. And it is stunning to me that many of the universities that have been most brazenly unwilling to protect Jewish students are some of the same universities who are charging the most money. We can do better. These universities can do better. And if they don't, they're going to face some very unpleasant consequences, and we will make sure of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lee. Senator Hirono.